Thanks very much. Mr. Brock, please, for 5.
Thank you, Chair. Mr. Lafleur, with all due respect, your investigation in this matter is seriously flawed.
Whoa.
You talk about your 15 years of experience working on hundreds of administrative investigations. You highlighted today in your opening statement that your key role is to ensure the integrity of the investigation, procedural fairness, and due process for those under investigation. And those under investigation have been targeted by you as Mr. Cameron McDonald and Mr. Antonio Utano. They're the only 2 individuals under investigation, and what you have done so far, sir, has done anything but to ensure procedural fairness. So much so that they've retained a lawyer, and a lawyer has brought an action in the Superior Court of Justice, and you, sir, are named as a defendant, as well as the Attorney General of Canada and the CBSA and Aaron O'Gorman, seeking declaratory relief that their rights to participate in this process has been compromised by you. You're aware of that?
Hello, Mr. Brock.
Yeah, he doesn't mince words, does he?
He came out swinging. Swinging. So, all right. Well, Mr. Lafleur, you better fix your jacket and stand up straight because Mr. Brock's talking to you.
Right. And sir, you don't have a legal degree, do you?
I do not.
No, and you don't understand the difference between a criminal standard of proof or a civil standard of proof, do you?
I do have some understanding of the difference.
Proof beyond a reasonable doubt on the criminal spectrum, beyond the balance of probability on the civil spectrum. And you understand the difference between fact and allegation, don't you?
Of course.
Yet I've got access, sir, to your Project Helios preliminary statement of fact for both Cameron McDonald and Antonio Utano, and you interchange the concept of fact, which is a proven entity, and allegation. In fact, the title of the document, Project Helios, Preliminary Statement of Facts. That's misleading, and it's wrong, isn't it, sir? Because these are allegations.
So the report itself is a point-in-time document, right?
Sir? These are allegations. Allegations brought by Bottler AI. Yes or no?
There are allegations.
They're not a proven fact, are they?
They are not.
So I would suggest to you, you be much careful in the future as it relates to this investigation and other investigations, that you understand, sir, that the clear difference between an allegation and a fact, because you interchange this throughout your report.
So, wow. So, sounds like Brock has his initial 45-day investigation that he completed that led to the, as Mr. Lafleur says, the more formal phase of this. And just on a technical aspect, I would agree with Mr. Brock in that if this guy is using allegation and fact as interchangeable words, that's a problem.
That's a big problem.
Because you can't. An allegation is it's essentially a statement of hypothesis of wrongdoing.
Yeah, like, I think Cypher ate all the cookies in the cookie jar.
I didn't prove it. Right?
Right.
So, and the fact is I have a picture of Cypher eating cookies in the cookie jar.
All of them.
All of them. And then waving at me and saying I ate all the cookies, Fox. So that would be the fact. And the fact supports the allegation. So if he's using that term interchangeably, the problem is that calls the whole process into question. And it undermines the credibility of the investigation. That's a big problem.
And the statement of fact, and this preliminary statement of fact, was ultimately sent on to the new 2 departments that Mr. McDonald and Mr. Utonio are employed by, right?
They were.
Yeah, and you expressed serious concerns, notwithstanding that nobody has been interviewed. That Mr. McDonald hasn't been interviewed. That Mr. Utano hasn't been interviewed. That Mindone hasn't been interviewed. That Aaron O'Gorman, the president of the CBSA, hasn't been interviewed. Former President John Osowski has not been interviewed. You've identified a number of key individuals you want to be interviewed, and none of them have provided you with an interview, have they?
To speak as to.
Well, I have the information right before me, sir. It's very clear that none of them have agreed to interview with you yet.
Damn. I think Brock almost dropped an F-bomb.
Yeah, you can't drop F-bombs in committee. No.
It really sounded like, it sounds like he was like, well, you can all you want. Yeah, Mr. LaFleur is getting rattled here.
If I could add a point of clarification there. So the report was a point in time.
I don't care about
assessment
point in
of the
time.
evidence on December 19th.
This is affecting the lives
order,
and the
Mr. Chair.
livelihood of Mr. McDonald and Mr. Utano.
Just one moment, Mr. Brock.
Can I ask my colleague, Mr. Brock, allow the witness the same amount of time to respond?
No,
Because I'd
it's-
like to hear,
Right.
the line of questioning is very interesting. I'd just like to hear the response.
I appreciate both of you. Stop. I've stopped the clock, but we've established in this committee it is the members' time. So please continue, Mr. Brock.
You made conclusions that were so significant that you felt that these were proven facts of serious employee misconduct, so serious that you required the RCMP to investigate at least 2 criminal charges, fraud and bribery, and then later on in this report, you declare that there's absolutely no evidence of bribery.
Wow. Okay. So I guess Michelle can't talk about what's in there, but Brock sure can. Holy. This is fascinating. Okay, I'm going to let him finish this, but I just clued into what Brock's doing here.
As outlined by Bottler AI in their allegations. You remember saying that? That to date there is no evidence of bribery? Did you actually share that with the RCMP? I bet you didn't.
That we have no,
Yeah. Did you share that with the RCMP?
we have provided information to the RCMP.
Did you share the fact that you have no evidence to support the allegation of bribery with the RCMP? Yes or no? It's a simple question, Mr. LaFleur.
I disagree. It's a yes or no question. We have provided.
Answer the question, Mr. LaFleur. Did you advise the RCMP that you uncovered no evidence of bribery? Yes or no?
The RCMP has the evidence that we have collected.
I'm going to interrupt here. We are out of time, but a very straightforward question has been put to you. Could you please respond in a yes or no fashion, Mr. LaFleur?
As to whether I've specifically told the RCMP we have found no evidence of, I'm just seeking clarity on that.
Could you repeat the question, just a very quick
Certainly,
one?
for the 6th time, I'll repeat the question very slowly and carefully for you, Mr. LaFleur.
And be polite about it.
I will be.
And be polite about it.
Baller AI raised concerns regarding bribery involving Christian Firth and Cameron McDonald. You raised that as a significant concern in your preliminary statement of fact. Paragraph 50 of your report
Mr. Brock, the
indicates that there was no evidence to substantiate the allegation of fraud. My question is, did you share your opinion that this allegation of fraud was unsubstantiated to the RCMP, yes or no?
That's not what the report says.
Sorry?
With respect, that's not what I say in the
I can-
report.
I can read it out.
I'm
Have
going
you
to
have
no
interrupt.
evidence?
I think we're going to get back to this in the next round, and we will re-clarify.
Okay. I think a lot happened there, and a lot more happened that wasn't said that actually was said. Here's what I think happened there. I think Brock was speaking to Mr. LaFleur, but I think he was also speaking to Canadians, and he was also speaking to the NDP, who may not have seen this report. I think he was, in his questioning, he was trying to tell us what was being found there. And again, Brock knows this was a moment in time, and this moment in time was last year. Actually, in 2022, for that matter, if it's 45 days. And I'm wondering if Mr. Brock knows or suspects that evidence of bribery and fraud has been found since then, which is why Mr. Lafleur can't give a yes or no answer, because Mr. Brock is asking based on the preliminary statement of fact. And if there has been subsequent evidence of fraud and bribery found, then Mr. Lafleur can't just say, well, no, we haven't told the RCMP because since that report, we have found it. So I'm wondering if this is just a very clever way of Brock getting an answer without needing the direct answer. So this is very interesting. This tells me that through the subsequent investigation, Lafleur has found evidence of bribery and fraud, which is criminal activity. That's huge, folks. That and if that is the case, again, this is an allegation. This isn't a fact. But I'm just going on what Brock is saying and what he's not saying, and assuming he's not a dumb individual. If that's the case, this whole thing blows wide open. Wide open. And as we said before, this may end up now, along with the SDTC scandal, this may be what takes down this government if this continues to just open up like a flower in spring.
Well, I wonder if it's going to get to a point and then the Liberals will dissolve Parliament because they don't want it going any further. But I have a very good feeling that the Conservatives, when they win, will just start committee right back up again.
Yeah. And because, they want to make an example of Trudeau, that's for sure, and his government. But again, this is just, it's the chess game, right? And this is what these are the moves that I'm seeing in front of me.